Hey guys, how's it going? Probably wondering what's going on over here with all these amps. No, this is not a shootout because I don't do shootouts because those are bullshit. Essentially, we've got InToit Reviews kindly lent me this Musical Paradise little tiny tube amp. I know Thomas and Stereo did a review on this. InToit Review did a review on this guy. It's basically designed in Alberta somewhere, made in China, directly shipped from China, and I think these are about 600 bucks US. They work both as a headphone amp and as a low power tube amp. And Intuit lent me a few tubes to try out, and in a little, this is what I call the flea bag tube amp category. I don't care if it's Deckware or one of these guys. You're only going to get so much. As a headphone amp, it's pretty cool, right? It's got some decent bass to it, mid-range, and the treble's not honky or anything like that. And would I buy one? No, doesn't really float my boat. I know Skunky Designs did a mod on the other one because I think Intuit's got two of these, right? And the other one had the mods on it, but I asked him, I said, no, give me the stock one because the modified one doesn't really, not going to suit my purposes. Plus, he also lent me some headphones. The headphones are not out here on the table. I liked them, but I always go back to my electrostatics. That's still my reference. Speaking of electrostatics, final audio video will be coming soon. You guys are probably wondering what happened to the Cornwall 4s. Well, they're sold. They're getting shipped out next week. The 901s are back into play while I'm waiting for the final audio electrostatics to get built, delivered, and of course I got to pay for them still, which is why I sold the Cornwalls and sold a few other items. So that's being worked on right now. So aside from the electrostatics, getting back on topic with all these amps. So you guys know that obviously I used to build the Orchard Audio Ultras and sometimes the little Star Crimsons. I don't do that anymore, but now I'm using the same Orchard Audio Ultra amps with a different power supply and solid silver wiring in Ernie Munier's Argent Pure amplifiers. There's a review in Part-Time Audiophile about these that I'll put a link to in the comment section. They really liked what they heard. I was going to do a dedicated video on the Musical Paradise, but it was kind of like, it was okay. I'd actually, when I had the 4 901s in the back as surrounds, and I used this guy for my surround channels for a little while, it actually produced a little bit of bass. I was surprised. The mid-range and the top end, even the top end, because you need a lot of power even to get decent treble out of the 901s, especially the sealed box ones. I was actually kind of surprised, And so aside from all that, I put these amps out here on the table because this is basically what I've been running. But aside from EL34s, KT88s, and Black Ice Audio F100s with KT170 tubes, this, my friends, I got it back. The label's missing on this guy. It's okay. I sold it for 50 bucks to a guy on Facebook a while back because the way I had them set up, you couldn't really see this side of the plate anyways. Will I ever put one back on here? Probably not. Will I ever sell these? No, like the 901s, they go hand in hand. I had Resto modded these. Inside of here, all the capacitors, all the resistors, I switched over to Vishay metal film, low tolerance 1% resistors, all throughout. So all the carbon resistors were replaced except the ones around the power transistors because they were a pain in the ass and I wasn't going to attempt it. So anyhow, the 1 amp worked for about 6 months and then died. Can't remember which one of these it was. The other one ran for over a year. Now, by this point, a friend of mine does audio repairs here in town, James High End Repair. Well, he did the original, well, he actually found out two issues. I knew the output transistors had a problem, but I didn't want to get in my hands in there because I knew I'd screw it up. So I found some Motorola ones. Couple of them I think were originals, and the other ones were repros. But James looked at the parts. He says, "No, this will work." So as he was fixing what was wrong inside, and he saw all the mods that I did. Again, I'll make sure the pictures are in the video. On the input board, somehow I'd swapped two resistors around, and he couldn't figure it out. He said, "Why is the frequency response dropping? What the hell's going on?" Then he dug into like the schematics readily available. That's how I was able to rebuild this. And shit, Joe, the resistors were swapped on both sides. You never heard it? Well, I'm using 901s with an EQ, so I wasn't going to really notice it. Anyway, so he got it all up and running. I get the amps back right shortly after we moved into this house. And because the dude is busy, right? So I got my amps back. This would have been almost 4 years ago. Actually, it was 4 years ago. And I had these in my rig. And I think at that time I had the Alta Audio Alyssa's. And I kept hearing this strange noise coming out of one speaker. And I thought, oh, fuck, did I blow this thing up? Ron's going to fucking kill me, right? Bernet. Shit, okay, so I checked it. No, everything's in tight. Well, I had a 5-channel Adcom amp that my buddy Kurt gave me, so I swapped it out real quick. Okay, the weird noise is gone. Drive over to James's place, and we put the amp on the oscilloscope, and after 30 seconds, this thing turns on. We could see blip, blip, blip on the scope. You could see the oscillation. You could see the noise, on the positive wave, and then coming down on the negative wave, on the sine wave. So, okay, so I left the amp with him, and I left him that one because he fixed that one, and I had no issues. So months go by, years go by. I almost forgot about the amps because, again, I bought the PS Audio Stellar M700s. Then from then I went on to the Gelida 3502P, and then from that I went to the Orchard Audio Ultras. From the Orchard Audio Ultras I went to the Black Ice Audio F100s, and now the F100s are over at the Final Audio Reps place, Ravi. And so Ravi's got my F100s. He's also got that custom 3-channel all silver wired Argent Pure / Orchard Audio amp that I built for him to take to shows and stuff like that and do in-house demos with. So he's got all that stuff over there, so I'm kind of ampless. I called James the other day. I says, "Dude, did you get my amps out of storage and you get a chance to plug them in?" And he said, "Yeah, Joe, I can't find a problem with them now." I said, "You shitting me?" He says, "Yeah, I haven't touched anything." Because he did poke around before, and he checked a few parts out, still couldn't chase it down. It was fine. So I got the amps back right after the Cornwalls shipped. So these things never ever touched the Cornwalls, which to me was disappointing because I have this feeling, and I did a few sound comparisons between this guy, which they say is 50 watts per channel, and James had measured on his power meter 70 watts per channel, and the THD here on the factory, it says, what's it say on the chrome here? And the chrome is not too pitted on this guy. What do we got here? 0.1 dB at 50 watts, 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, 10 hertz to 50 kilohertz at minus, and everything is 50 watts, 50 watts. And, well, harmonic distortion less than 0.25 at 50 watts, 20 to 20 kilohertz. Typical performance is less than 0.1. We were getting in the 0.01 range total harmonic distortion. And he said basically because of the parts that I changed it out with. And I also put an Arizona, I think it's an Arizona Red capacitor on the input where the RCA comes in. One thing I was thinking about doing was I was going to do the silver wire treatment to this, but James basically says, "You know what, dude, it ain't broken right now. Don't try to fix it." I mean, these are 50-year-old amplifiers, right? I think they were built from 1969, right around the time these 901s came out, to about 1978. And there was another story, I think Jerry Garcia, now I don't know how true this is, supposedly he used one of these on stage to drive some of his effects pedals or something like that. Again, I don't know how true that is, even if it is true. I've never seen one of these on any stage pictures. Maybe my friend Rajiv can correct me on that. But yeah, I mean, I changed the power supply caps. I bumped the capacitance up a little bit higher than what the stock ones were. All the signal path caps are all high-end stuff. All the resistors are Vishay Dale 1% metal film. You know, the little brown guys that you see on all the high-end amps. The pot's nice and clean. I actually, originally I'd bypassed the pot when I first put this together. The other things I did, as you can see here, is I got rid of your old-fashioned mini oven style, old-fashioned mini oven style cord that was on here, and I put an IEC plug, right? This also had that little outlet, you know, that you could plug in. Well, I removed that stupid outlet so you could plug one amp into the other. And the other thing too, I got rid of those stupid terminals. I got all that stuff, I still got it, but I'm never going to sell these. But this is so nice, just having good old binding posts on here, you know, and not having to worry about it. And these are the good ones from Parts Express. Fuse, of course, and that. And yes, this is the autoformer version. This is the famous autoformer version. So when this came out, Mac had the 2105 amplifier, which I was looking at the time. I actually lost an eBay bid on it. I'm kind of glad I did, because these are a lot simpler to rebuild. And there is a 2-channel version of this, which they call the, I think it's the 2100. Basically the way Mac is MC is mono channel, right? And then I think, no, I said there. Anyways, when they've got a 2 in front of the number, so 2100 is 2 times 100 watts. But there's a 2 times 50 watt version of this. Maybe that's the 2100. Fuck, I don't know. I really should do my homework before I do these videos. But anyhow, getting back to this guy. I never got a chance to hook it up to the Cornwalls. But listening to it after tuning the 901s, and you notice I got rid of the room treatment. Amazing. I got phantom center now. And here's the thing, guys. These are 250 watts at 8 ohms. These are 50 watts, 70 watts max out at 8 ohms. But how come I like the sound of this? This seems to get me a better phantom center than this guy or the Orchard Audio amps. But I don't have the power figures, right? So what I'm thinking of doing is, just for my own benefit, I'm probably going to take these over to Ravi Vilnati's house next time I go over, just to try these out. He's got the Model 15 electrostatic final audio speakers. He's also got the flagship that people saw at the show earlier this year and at Expona. So I might take these over and try them out on the big panels, just to see if they can withstand the abuse, right? Because supposedly those panels will dip down to 2 ohms. And this basically is a 4/8/16 rated. So again, we'll find out. I'm not saying, I'm not trashing Orchard, I'm not trashing Argent, but who knows what would have happened if these things had been running since November of 2020. I probably wouldn't have chased the Orchard Audio Dragon Ultra, most likely. I definitely wouldn't have gone the tube direction. I probably would have gotten a bigger powered Mac. Totally honest with you guys. You know, I would have probably bought a bigger power Mac, used this guy to maybe do bi-amping with, right? You know, or maybe just use this to run the surrounds and get a bigger Mac for the front 2 channels. You know, it's really hard to say, but yeah, when he got me the amps back and he said there was nothing wrong, and I hooked them up in here right away, and dude, it was great. I mean, You know, nowadays 50 watts doesn't sound like much when you've got 500 at 4 ohms, 250 at 8 ohms, you know, in a small package like this. I mean, if you look at the size of these guys, right? Look at the size. I mean, it's almost the same. I don't have the feet for this, but anyhow. That's the video, guys. It's been wanting to do a video on these amps pretty much since I started the channel. And I'm just happy they're back. I'm happy they're working great. Little bit of hiss coming out of the speakers, but who gives a shit? From the distance from the chair where my camera is right now, it's fine. Thanks again for watching, guys. Like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the Dan D'Agostino tour videos. They'll probably get more views than this will, but hey, man. Anyways, cheers, guys. Have a good rest of your weekend. Bye for now.